Hello, welcome to another podcast from the Inforunners. Today is the 5th day of the Anniversary Sale, and this is episode 44, RSI Day.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Now.
My cable just fell on.
No good when that happens.
No, all right. So cool. I'm back. The Thorries. So I'm Execute. Sorry.
And this is Hayes, and below we have
Algorid. Or Al.
Yeah.
back on the show for the second time. I think he might be on a couple more times. We'll see. We're going to open up with the CCU guide. Today we actually have at least one CCU to recommend, but don't worry, tomorrow and the day after is Misc and Drake, and there'll be shit tons of CCUs to recommend on those days because those are all ships that are going to be going up in price or have unique things we can do with them. Anyway, today's main CCU today is the Orion. And I'm recommending the Drake Caterpillar to the Orion CCU, which is only $30. This allows you to CCU from a ship that is currently flight ready, so it's stable, it will not be moving around, and going up to the Orion, which will increase in price, just a matter of when. When the Orion does increase in price, it could increase by more than between half and double. It's one of those CCUs, especially with the size increase we've just seen recently. And
with that size increase, yeah, definitely. It's a massive, massive boost now. It is no longer just a little mining ship. It is a massive monster.
And so like $30 is cheap. You can cheaply speculate on this or keep it until you want to put the rest of the funds together towards it. Caterpillar goes on sale fairly relatively often. It's a good CCU to buy.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It'll be on sale tomorrow.
And again, if you buy with war bonds, you could possibly gift one of these CCUs to a friend or an orgmate. So that's to keep in mind. I suppose the next advice is going to be the Polaris. Let's say you want to buy a Polaris. One of the things you should not do if you buy a Polaris right now, especially if you have new funds to buy something, is to buy the 5-year insurance, because at the moment, one of the best options for it is to buy a war bond hammerhead, which is only $550, and then CCU to the Polaris, and then you've got that Polaris with LTI and $100 cheaper.
And you could also hold on to the upgrade, couldn't you? So you could technically, we're assuming the hammerhead's going to come out sooner, so you could fly that for a bit, and then if you decide that you want the Polaris or you don't, you've got the option to do both. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, buy a hammerhead war bond and keep the CCU for the Polaris for it's only $100, right? And then depending on which ship you figure out you want when they finally start coming out, it gives you that flexibility to pick one or the other. That's a good mechanic, and that's a good way of going about it. And
given that the Polaris is, the Hammerhead is that kind of test bed almost to get those turrets right. That is another thing that goes in favour of it coming out early, because it's just got so many turrets. They've got to get those out and fixed. And we know that that's one of the big things they've been wanting to work on. So,
well, we were saying just before the show, we were speculating too, it's possibly going to be even in Squadron 42. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
it's an old, the lore has it as a very old ship, so it does make a lot of sense. Like even in the lore document, there's half a dozen, age-old ships that are mentioned as being, first run, second run, and named with a history. So.
I agree with you, the idea that it's a test bed, that they obviously know their turrets are really screwed right at the moment, so that, what can we make a ship that be the best turrets possible, and we can use this as a test bed, and if this works, we can then incorporate that tech into or other big ships that are completely reliant on turrets, like the Idris and the Javelin, and then, so the sooner they can pump this out, get it to work and see how it goes, they could then reincorporate that technology that they developed into those other ships.
Yeah, I could say if that works, they'll have, basically any turret ship will have that included into it, so yeah.
Well, I kind of think, how do I put it? They actually said the Hurricane was going to be the test bed, and it actually has the same sort of turrets on that, and maybe it makes me think that they were successful with the Hurricane, and so they've gone, all right, let's put this onto a bigger ship.
Perhaps, yeah.
Possible.
So I don't know, because we know that is a lot further along from what we saw earlier on in the week.
Oh, anyway, that's it for the CCU guide. Expect a lot more on the Misc and Drake days, because there should be quite a few comprehensive CCUs to recommend. But moving along, what do you think of the Phoenix?
Oh,
Sad face.
Well, sad face? Okay, well, I don't own one, but I really like where they're going with the design, as in now he's got a lot less work to do, just that middle room. I think it's very clever how they kind of designed the ship a bit modularly. I would have liked to be able to see that you could swap out that middle bit a bit more on the Phoenix, but obviously it looks like now you're going to be stuck with the luxury variant if that's the way you're going to go. That said, though, I did like the layout, and believe it or not, it had a Star Trek feel to it. Like the way everything was kind of pushed up against the walls reminded me a lot of the lounge from the NX 1701 or the one from Next Generation. I liked it. Why didn't you like it, Algrid? I'm curious.
It's become an Aussie with a beer gut.
All right. So you think it came a bit fatter, or it seemed to be a bit fatter and a bit longer in the body?
Definitely had. Well, he said he had to make it bigger. So but the cockpit and the neck have stayed the same, which is great. Don't need to change those. So we know if you go into the current, if you've got one in your hangar and you go into it, you know that the cockpit and the crew quarter section is going to be the same. The second section, the middle section, that is a section that's changed a lot.
Mm-hmm. But the ship's not really, like, as a silhouette, the ship's not wider. It is longer, but no, not really, because the engines haven't, like, spread out in size or anything. It's just that it's got wide, like it's bowed out in that middle section. It's like it's pregnant or something.
It's become like a grown-up cutlass with that round center in the middle. Yeah. I've never been a fan of the bathtub. I'd really like an option to actually not only have that bathtub sink down, but actually move it out, replace it with something else, another system.
I do think he's trying to do the best of both worlds.
Look, I think he's tried to do the best with both worlds. The little bits we saw, I did like the way furniture was on the side. But I know Josh will do a great job, because he did the Cutlass went from ick to, oh my god, it's a gorgeous ship, and I hate Drake, and I love the Cutlass.
Yeah.
So that's how good it is, So I know I do a good job. Where the furniture was looked great. What concerns me is you look at the Matrix, PDS is missing. The extra power plant or the upgraded power plant seems to be missing.
Mind you,
are they still there? Are they not still there?
They haven't really moved into the white box. So like I said, we're not sure. He's at the moment trying to do the concept idea, but he hasn't actually put it into a white box based form. So he's trying to work out the metrics and figure out how the layout's going to be before they make the sort of white box. Like I noticed there, I still didn't see access to the cargo, which is something he said that has to be done, but it's not there yet. So
and they didn't talk about the tail section, so we don't know whether that PDS section. Well, the PDS was always, as I understand it, in the tail. So whether it's still there, whether it's been moved, we don't know. So there were things But
I don't think the PDS has been implemented because they're still using the original Connie white box as reference to do the concept phase, which he's going through now, because they noticed they haven't even started the white box. So they
may move the PDS just for not having to remodel the entire section just for that PDS, because if they could say, for example, put it in the middle or at the top of the
middle section,
and that would just mean they don't have to make. Well, it's definitely a lot better defense wise at the back. I 100% agree with that, because it'll automatically shoot anything trying to get
but work wise, putting it somewhere on the middle section would mean we don't have to redo that tail section.
That's right. It might not be that much of a remodel though. If they kind of just model it more to be stuck on top, but then I don't know. It'll look a lot better if it was redone.
It sounds like they're trying to keep as much of the Constellation as they can, especially at the front section, the cockpit sections, the engines. But the main interior, as you said, I think they've actually had to widen the hull to be able to better accommodate.
Yeah, it is. But it's just so you know, it's not wide like this. It's wide like it comes out, so it necks out, goes that, and then necks in again. It's as I said, it's like it's got something inside it. So it's like it's got a bit, like Algrid said, it's got a beer gut now. So it's not. Don't think of it as in it's scaled.
And I've got to be honest.
We haven't seen when they get to the white box, we'll see whether it explodes or not.
And having said I was sad faced, I've got to be fair and honest. You know, lots of people used to hate the interior of a Polaris at all. I love the interior up to the TV screen.
What about
TV screen? I hated it.
What about the materials he was talking about, Algrid? Were you interested in any of the texturized materials he talked about today, like the rare woods and stuff like that?
I reckon for any of the so-called luxury ships, they should be looking at those types of textures. Like they should be doing that type of thing for being used in the
IP room, the one up in the what's it called, the Mile High Club. Yeah, that one.
They should be using it in that. They should be using it on the 600. They should be using it on the 300. They should be any ship that they've said is that luxury idea. You would have luxury builders going, okay, what is the most expensive of this accent?
I would have liked to have seen something like the fish tank from that, like say in the bar or behind the bar. You see those bars sometimes in really luxury hotels, and the bar itself is actually a fish tank, and you kind of sit there above it and have your drink, or behind where the bottles are is a fish tank or something like that. Something just really super over the top would have been really cool. And they've got the fish tank technology, as in the fish swimming around. It's no biggie just to add some fish in there swimming around, in my opinion. But
it would be quite nice. And you're in a firefight, you shoot that, the fish tank breaks and water goes everywhere and starts floating around with.
Now I've heard that stuff about the PDS. That's probably the only thing that worries me. I wasn't aware of that from the ship matrix. So
it's not listed in the matrix. They didn't mention it in the show. Is it still there? We don't know.
But then
when it was first sold, that was the key thing.
I'm pretty confident they got Josh Coons on the case, though. I think he's very aware of the community, because he really does check the forums. He does actually respond to people when they ask questions occasionally on Spectrum and the forums. I think he should know that one of the biggest concerns of the Phoenix owners is that whether the PDS is still going to be maintained or not. So, I think that's very much in his mind. We should eventually see something. Once we get the white box, we'll know for sure exactly how this is going with regards to the...
And like I said, Josh Coombs, from what we've seen of his work so far, he'll do a brilliant job. So
yes. You won't have
I might be a bit sad-faced, but I'm not picking up the pitchfork and the torch.
Yeah, I have to agree with Algrid. The PDS is really what makes that Phoenix over the other ones. I'm not really sold on touring vehicles myself, but like from a defense perspective, that Phoenix could actually have a bit more combat focus even than the standard Andromeda due to that. But just personally, I still prefer the Andromeda because it just loses so much utility with the Phoenix. But I was tempted with the PDS, so I highly doubt they'll move it. I think that'll probably be one of the most saltiest things ever if they do that.
I can see a large amount of melts of Constellation Phoenixes if they said, "Oh, we just removed the PDS turret," and they'll be like, "Well, why am I buying this? Why don't I get an Andromeda?"
Yeah. It'll be melt central, literally.
Yeah.
Or upgrade to something else.
That's
central.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we could move on to the Orion. My God, it's doubled in size.
Yeah. I was saying this to you earlier. A lot of the ships I brought earlier are now bearing a lot of fruit, and becoming bigger and more profitable. Like Carrick, Reclaimer. What's the other one? The Banu. Yeah, just all doubling in size, and I feel like I've invested well, to say the least. But this one even surprised me, to be honest. I didn't think it was going to grow like it has.
Well, that's because the Reclaimer didn't grow too much in size, but then now the Orion, what is it going to be, double the size of the Reclaimer?
Double.
That's nuts.
It's I think it was almost Polaris in length, so probably Hammerhead in length, so now it's double the Hammerhead, which is kind of a bit crazy. yeah, just that. And I was the other thing that really surprised me was when they showed that it had doubled, right? That was a textured exterior. I was very surprised. Sorry, excuse my cat. Very surprised how much it has grown.
Yep.
But the art was a lot further on than I expected. I know they say it's in white box, but why was the exterior all textured, man? So I'm very curious to know how far they are along with it. Quite surprised.
I did not expect them to do the Orion before so many of these other ships, like the Jump and the Banner, and like I thought Orion was on the end of the list due to the order of things, and so I'm surprised
Mining.
it's further along than the Carrack.
Yeah, I think it really should be, because if you look at the mechanics they're doing, we've got cargo, mining, and it's mining, so therefore it should be up the list. Boom.
Well,
that's just my thought on it.
Here's an idea from left field, maybe. We know that Shubin Mining Station is in Squadron 42.
Mm.
Does Shubin Mining Station run some Orions? Do they need an Orion for Squadron 42?
That would make sense to me.
You know, that's a possibility.
Might be why the exterior is done. That makes a lot of sense, actually. So they just did the shell of it, and you can't actually get in it, but you can see it. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, Arga, from what you've just said. Because we know for example, they're going to do that with the Vandal ships. So you'll see the exterior, but you can't get in them yet.
And maybe it's one ship, but they'll blow up. You know, there it is mining, and the Vandal attack and blow it up, and that's why we can't get in it, because But it's a possibility. I like the interior of the white box interior they showed of the Orion as well. Those living quarters, they had that cramped but not cramped. They had a nice feel, and yet you still had that. I can see the ship. I liked what I saw, and the size increase is.
I love the form over function of it, basically, as in the tunnels going down the middle of the ship, and that's the function of the ship, and they've kind of worked around it, and I thought that was really clever. Yeah. And it just it'll give it a real lived-in feel. The only thing I'm curious about is the noise.
Yes.
Are they going to have this permanent grinding noise?
Well, if you're actually actively mining, I think there should be.
Yep.
If it's just sitting in orbit, then no, obviously not.
Yeah.
Personally, I they haven't put the textures on yet, but it seemed very postmodern. Most of those rooms look quite snazzy for a mining ship, unlike the Reclaimer, which is a sort of, almost dystopian, dark and gritty sort of thing. The Orion seemed more high tech, more stylized.
The easy answer to that is it's RSI.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. RSI are a bit more classy. I think they're literally on the run of things. They'd be just one down from Origin, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. Being so old, they've kind of got that sense of we need to keep our mojo, keep our style, keep our look.
What's one down from BMW in the real world, like Alfa Romeo or Lexus, or I don't know. But anyway,
Volvo.
Yeah, Volvo. Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah.
Old men wearing hats.
My dad's got a Volvo, and I'd have to say the new modern Volvos are actually pretty snazzy. They are pretty up there. They're not like the old man hat days.
Yep.
Is that everything on the Orion?
I think so. They besides them talking about sort of how the tractor beams would work and how it was very slow and hulky sort of a ship. It sort of goes to show that this ship being so huge and so unwieldy is one of those sort of ships that can't really, if it gets into trouble, it's barely going to be able to defend itself. This is what I thought. It's going to be such a huge target. It's not going to be able to move around very quickly. Even if it has turrets, I think it's barely going to be able to defend itself against a fighter. So it's reinforces that idea that you bring your own support military with you to protect.
Bring your hammerhead.
Made me think though, like, if you can tractor beam really big asteroids, does that mean like you can pick one up and aim at something and fly at it and then let it go? Like, could you use it? Like, what's the Starship Troopers where they fire asteroids at the Earth?
Oh, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So we're using it as a pile driver to send asteroids hurtling down on planets that we're bombing.
Yeah.
Well, this thing would have some of the biggest tractor beams a ship has, right? Because it's it's huge. Maybe if it was like a hammerhead comes in and starts attacking you, maybe before you die you could hurl several big rocks into it. It's double KO style.
Yeah, it's a knockout.
Snatch defeat from the jaws of victory type thing.
Yeah. I go ahead.
Go on.
Oh, I was just going to say I was going to move on to the Ursa, but if you've got more to say.
Well, before you move on to the Ursa, the other big thing with the Orion, if you look at the growth in size, the old Orion had those 3 turning pods, the storage pods. The big one seems to have this massive singular. Wow.
I think, quite frankly, it still does have the 3. It had the middle one, and they just hadn't put the 2 external, the other 2 on the other side on it. I think you'll find all 3 are still there. It's just from an art. The window they showed was more of a developer perspective, so they just hadn't duplicated out the tubs. I think you'll find they're all there.
I know he had said there were 12 things on it, whether he was talking about the old one or the new one, but even just looking at it, even if it doesn't have the 3 rings anymore, you look at the size of those containers that were on it. One of those containers one of those little arms easily held everything that was in all 3 of the ones on the original one and more.
News just in, my PTU lordship just said there's an update. Like, literally, there's an update for the PTU. Yep, there is. Just confirming.
Woo-hoo.
So, yeah, anyone that's on the PTU, update just came out. Can't not disagree with any of that, Algrid.
It would be interesting to know if the amount of scrap ore that you can actually hold has increased due to the increase in ship size.
Yep. Which makes it also a great supply ship if you can actually sort the ore out when you're refining. That means you've got raw materials for your Pioneer. So Pioneers, Orion, Pioneers,
Crucible.
Reclaimers, Pioneers, Crucibles, Reclaimers, Crucibles. Those 4 ships are
going to work really well together. Yeah.
Work hand in glove.
With this ship doubling in size now, how long was the original one? Was it like 150 or 200 meters?
170-ish.
170. So we could approximate 350 meters long now. That's freaking huge. Okay, like this totally opens up the ground for a medium-size mining ship now at the 100-meter range, because
the old Orion.
Even a 150-meter mining ship would be like a fraction of what this is, and it'd be like a quarter of the actual size overall, even though it's 150 meters long. They could totally now do a medium mining ship in the 100-meter to 100-meter plus range. That's exciting. Maybe that's what we'll see coming from... No, we won't see that from Drake. Maybe salvage.
The old one was as long as the Polaris, so it's now twice as long as the Polaris.
So massive.
Yeah, that puts it bigger than an Idris, just to put it in perspective. It was about as long as the old Reclaimer, probably a little shorter, so now it's drastically longer. It was shorter than a hull D, and now it would be as long as a hull E.
That's nuts.
So that's pretty nuts. It almost puts it as long as a Javelin.
It might be one of the best buys of all day at 325. It's like
and the price hasn't gone up yet. So now
now's the time to buy it if you want it.
If you want it, buy it now, because I reckon when the price goes up, it'll double.
Yeah,
it's just because it's doubled in size.
Yeah,
Doubled in size, you got twice the ship.
There's an interesting thing there that Bennett's put in, 3 large shield generators. That's fairly unique. That is fairly unique, because that's basically other ships would have one singular capital class shield. They've actually stated components are at a rough ratio of 3 to 1, so this is equal to a capital shielding, but obviously it's going to have redundancy because it's 3 of them. Excuse my hiccups.
It's probably...
And that's a big thing. Sorry, go on, Hayes.
That's all right. Keep going.
I was done. I was just done, and that's a big thing.
Yeah, it's important. But go ahead, Hayes.
I don't have anything else, but I suppose we could move on to the Ursa now to finish this off. Ursa Rover. It's they didn't show anything new, I don't think, but What do you think?
Yeah. I think the only thing that I really learnt from it is that was that guy's first thing he made when he came to work at CIG, and that he spent a lot of time learning how the process works. So it's actually really detailed in size, and you can actually tell it is really detailed inside compared to most things in the game. So a win, I guess. But no, we didn't really learn anything new. I still think it's one of the best land vehicles, though. It seems to be a bit of a jack of all trades. So it does a bit of everything.
Well, one of the takeaways I had was that it was very much constrained by the size of fitting in a Constellation. And it sounded like they actually wanted to make it bigger when they were designing it, like more tanky, more larger. I wouldn't be surprised if the custom Rover that we get in ships like the Carrack then not restrained to the same size as an Ursa. Because obviously being a bigger ship, it's 155 meters, and having a huge ramp, maybe they will do a bigger Rover for just the size of the Carrack. That would, instead of copying the Ursa size constraints.
Heavy tank Rover confirmed.
It would be kind of cool though if all the vehicles could still fit in a myriad different versions of ship. I'm pretty sure the Tumbril will. They've said it'll fit in the Constellation. Maybe that might be the other way. They might make it so a few fit in one and a few fit in the other. But
well, I think the Tumbril seem by the size. The Tumbril has to be half the size of an Ursa. Like it is, the Ursa is an APC.
I think they're about the same size.
8 people. No, because they said the Ursa is APC for 8 people.
Well, Bennett Gross says, how about the mention of the links where they were talking about the Phoenix? They said it was going to be wider, but not as tall. So, maybe the links will not fit into the current constellations because, it's too wide for the cargo hatch.
No. The reason the cargo is narrower is because of the fact that you've got that deck.
Oh, I know what you mean, but he said it's going to be wider, but also the height will be less. So it would be like different dimensions for the Rover.
Yes, because the Phoenix has increased in width in that area, so they can make it wider, but it's also shorter because the deck's there. So it's basically designed to fit that ship, clearly. Yeah. In regards to the APC aspect of it, when you count the seats in the Phoenix, there's 4 in the the Ursa. There's 4 in the back and 2 in the front, so it only holds 6 people. So I don't. You stated 8, but I can only count 6 in the Ursa.
But 6 is a lot.
I've just double checked it. Yeah, I've just double checked it online, and there is only 6 seats. Yeah. So
I thought he did 8 in the stream, but
I could be wrong.
I could have missed.
But are you talking about an ATV today or like on a previous episode?
ATV today. I thought he said 8. But
I might have to go back over it later. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, there isn't.
I was rubbing sleep from my eyes at the time. I could be wrong, but I thought it was 8. But
you're making me do it.
Even 6 is still more than a Tumbril can hold. Tumbril is 3 people.
Yeah, 3 people max. But when I say size of the vehicle, what I mean is the actual physical, not what it can hold, but the Tumbril, I think, actually has a bigger footprint, if you get what I mean. I think they're the same size as in, if it was a box around each of them, they would be a bit roughly the same size box. That's what I'm trying to say. I think the Ursa's got a better size utilization, as in you can fit more in it. I think it's
literally a box as opposed to the Tumbril, which is it's a buggy with a small frame and the actual wheels. So,
and obviously the Ursa's got a bit more utility, so that kind of you get some and lose some type of thing. Yeah. I still personally think with the learning yesterday that I was pretty sure that's how it was going to be, but the modularity of the Tumbril, I still think that's probably going to be one of the more popular choices at the moment over the Ursa. But I still think the Ursa is going to be probably better defense-wise. It's because it's got that closed-off. You're inside and you've got the gun, where as opposed to you're standing on the back of the Tumbril and firing, you can easily be picked off.
Not to mention, it's actually got airlocks that you can actually sort of survive in more hostile environments as opposed to the Tumbril. I mean, we're going to have hostile planets with atmospheres that are corrosive and stuff like that. Yep. It's quite obvious that the only vehicle that you'd really consider might be something like an Ursa.
Yeah, it is the only vehicle at the moment with an airlock, ground vehicle. Every other ground vehicle is open atmosphere.
Yeah, and they've also stated you'll be able to get shot in your suit and it'll spring a leak. Again, being inside the vehicle, that's less likely to happen. So, Hey, wait, we got Board Gamer. Hey, buddy.
Oh, you
Hey,
go.
mate.
There's board. I think that's it then. You guys want to start answering questions?
Board actually asked, but doesn't the Carrack done like the Ursa? They
Contract.
mentioned contract done like the Ursa. I think he means, is he talking about the land vehicle in the Carrack? Because they announced during the week that they're going to have a new one in the
Yeah.
Carrack.
That's what I was thinking. Like, if the Lynx is not the same as the Ursa because it's custom made for the ship, there's no reason that the Rover from the, let's say, the Origin as well as the Carrack may be completely different dimensions to fit those particular ships.
No,
Yeah, well,
agreed.
if the Ursa is RSI built, I would, unless there's a, I would see, was it Kruger working with RSI, but I wouldn't see RSI working with Origin to build a Rover for an Origin ship or for an Anvil ship. They'll have their own.
I think they stated it was an Anvil Rover. They did
Yeah.
actually say that on the thing. I'm more interested to know where they're going to tailor it. Are they going to tailor it a bit more towards exploration, or is it going to be a bit more of a utility vehicle?
Yeah,
With the
they have
Carrack,
a scanning suit in it, by default. That makes sense for a Carrack.
Well, if you consider the origins of the Ursa was originally designed as the Rover for the Aquila.
that's correct.
So that APC armored personnel character, is rolling out there with its gun and everything else. That is the Explorer
Yeah,
vehicle for the Aquila.
I'd like to see some sciencey stuff on the Anvil Rover. I'd like to see some things for like taking samples and stuff like that. That'd be kind of interesting. Like almost like a mini lab on it would be something different. Or even to make it even better, being the Carrack and the Carrack having modular rooms, it'd be cool if it maybe had modules that were tailored a bit more towards utility. So maybe you could have a lab, or you could have a scanner module or something like that. That'd be kind of cool too.
Or even a drone, a little drone rover.
Yeah,
went out.
that'd be cool.
I think
The
for mining,
experiments,
prospecting, you drill a core to find out the mineral samples of the area as you drive around, Being able to have a setup like that makes a lot of sense for exploration, because then you can find out the good mining locations.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess we'll move on to questions then, because it's kind of a short and sweet show today, much like yesterday. I was expecting a bit more. I was hoping to see some of the stuff with Polaris, to be honest, but I think that kind of confirms for us, and hopefully for you guys. I
think you're dreaming. I think that's not coming out anytime soon.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's kind of confirmed that for us, that it's kind of been, it's a lot further away than we're really expecting, but it would have confirmed for us that it was sooner. Now it's kind of confirmed it's later. So yeah. There was a question there earlier on from someone that posted really early on in the stream. If you can scroll right
I've
back,
got the
Hayes.
first one.
Cool.
Gecko asked question: when do you see the Polaris being completed? I CC'd my X1 with LTI to a Polaris, then brought an Anvil Hawk with LTI and CCU'd that to a Terrapin to put in my Polaris successfully. Like we said, we do not think the Polaris is going to be done anytime soon. I wouldn't be surprised if next year when the Anniversary Sale comes around, still nothing.
Sorry, Hayes. Just to re-ask, did he say to put his Terrapin in the Polaris?
Yes, I think he wants to use his Terrapin with the Polaris, as a,
I feel sorry for you, man, because it won't fit.
Oh no,
It's
no,
too big.
I agree. I disagree. I think it will fit. I mean, the Terrapin was already smaller than all the other main superiority fighters. It had room to grow and still fit in those hangars.
I'm gonna go look up a ship scale right now and let him know if it can, but I'm pretty sure it can't, because I think it's bigger than the Sabre. Sabre's been told as the largest ship it can fit in, and that's got a 32 by 34 size. So anything larger than that, it won't fit.
I just want to re-mention this. I said this earlier in the show, but if you buy a Warbond Hammerhead and then CCU that to the Polaris, you actually save $100. So basically the Hammerhead at Warbond price is $550. It's worth $650. Then CCU through to the Polaris, and you literally get a $650 Polaris with LTI. Moving on to the next question. Question. Lemist asks: the Taurus is supposed to be the freighter, but the ship info page doesn't show its cargo capacity. Should we just avoid it for now? Alger, do you want to answer that?
It used to be double what the Andromeda could carry, because they literally doubled the length of the cargo bay, and that's why it lost the P-52 fighter, because it would have P-52 fighter overhang the cargo bay. Avoid it. Well, it's not available. You can't fly it at the moment, so.
Personally, I still think it's the best constellation. For that money, you're getting a full constellation. You can do a lot of those multi-crew type things with it. Put a rover in it, do some exploration. I guarantee it's going to have twice the cargo of a normal constellation, no matter what.
Yep. And that would mean you could take 2 rovers, basically.
Well, that would be really neat if it could. I mean, we'll find out. Definitely take a
double
couple of
length.
dragonflies. Maybe a rover and a dragonfly. So,
the actual limiting factor. Sorry to get back to that last question. The limiting factor for the Terrapin, if it is limiting at all, will actually be its height. The maximum height for that the Polaris hangar is 6 meters, and that's exactly how tall the Terrapin is.
You just sparks along as the hangar closes.
So maybe you can land, but you can't close the doors. So yeah. So hopefully, yeah, it will fit though. It's only 14.5 by 19.5, so it'll fit. But yeah, the height is going to be the limiting factor, man. So just be aware of that.
Pressurized hangars are so overrated.
Yeah, they can just EVA and do it in warp.
It should have a grab pad on the bottom. You should be fine. It's like a Podolocel landing pad,
Yeah.
Oh, well, 9 times out of 10, our landing gear fails, so you'll save that height anyway.
Yeah. So hopefully, even if it grows by as I said, it's not going to have grown by another 50, because it has to grow by at least 15 meters in length, and that's almost double for it to not fit. So yeah, I think the Terrapin will fit. It'll just be its height, because we know it's 6 meters. So hopefully it's right on the maximum. So hopefully it doesn't grow in height at all, and then you'll be fine. I'm actually surprised it fits. I really am. So yeah, you spotted something I didn't.
Okay, next question. Amortillado, that's a unique name, asked the question, should the guns on the Ursa be limited to passenger control, or should the driver be able to pew-pew too? Anyone tried that out in 3.0 yet?
What's that again? Sorry, the Drake?
He asked if the driver can use the turret on the Ursa, or whether it's limited to the passenger.
I haven't been able to get it to work yet. So maybe that's why he's asking that question. Maybe that's something you and I, us guys, can test later today and get back to him on that one.
Yeah, I suppose, if you use your keypad and the mouse, if you could control the driving with the keyboard and be able to aim with the mouse, that might work. I could see that working, but like in GTA 5, that could totally be a thing. But I have a feeling that Ursa right at the moment is mouse controlled, so even if you try it, it's going to be really hard to drive and aim at the same time.
Yeah, it might still be one of the things they're working on too, because we know it's not quite exactly 100% ready as well. All right, next question, I guess.
I think we're actually out of questions. If you got a question, make sure to ask us now. Bracket with a Q or a question, however you want to see it. Otherwise, I think we're out of questions, so we might start wrapping up the show. Tomorrow's sale, is it Misc or... Yeah, Drake's the last one, isn't it? Yeah,
Misc and then Drake.
To be honest, Misc is my favorite manufacturer. And they have so many ships. For one, the CCU advice I'm going to be able to give for Misc is going to be long and varied, because they've just got so much. Yeah.
There's a question there about Misc, actually. Do you guys expect anything exciting for tomorrow from the Misc sale?
We're going to see a lot more of the Hull C.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of the Hull series. I'm not expecting a lot from the Endeavour. I'm going to be honest about that. And unfortunately, when you really look at the Misc series, they'll probably talk about the Prospector, but that's kind of been a bit done. So really, the only thing we kind of got to look forward to is probably the Hull series.
The Prospector too. I mean, they might show a little bit of that, or talk. They're definitely going to talk about it.
I don't. Well, I'm looking at the Polaris, and I'm looking at where that is, and I'm looking at where the Endeavour's going to be, and we know the Endeavour's going to be right down the pipeline, because it's kind of like 5 ships in one. I'm just not expecting to see a lot from it. tomorrow based on what we saw of the Polaris. But I'd love to be proven wrong.
Well, the
100%.
Misc Razor, that's like been in grey box for a while now. I wouldn't
Actually,
be
yeah,
surprised.
that's true.
So
I didn't think of that one.
Weren't they originally saying they were planning to try and get that out in 3.0, or was that later?
3.1, and we know it's kind of modelled because they had it sitting there in the live stream. You can actually see them fly past it when they're doing the city demo. So, actually, that's one I completely forgot about. So, yeah, Hull C and Miss Razor is probably what I expect to see tomorrow.
I'd love to see a very early white box of the Hull A or the Hull B. Those are I have a thing for those two ships. They're like...
Yeah.
You do.
The Hull A may be the starter of all cargo ships, but like the Hull B actually is competitive compared to all the way past the Constellation. The only time you get past a Hull B is when you start moving into Starfarer territory.
Yeah. No, I think they're two of the most underrated ships too, because the one thing that people don't compare with them on the other ships is speed. If you go read the concept for them, they literally state that the thing that's going to sell these two ships beyond just, okay, I've got this ship now, move on to the next Hull series, is the speed of the A and the B. They're kind of like mini Banus in a kind of strange way, where they're, you're going to be able to, and they can go down a planet with cargo. You can't do that with the bigger ones.
It reminds me, a couple of months ago they mentioned they'd start work on the Freelancer. I think it was the Max. They haven't shown us any progress. They just mentioned it. The Freelancer Max has started going into production.
Yep. And they've also done the Misery, or the Miss, as other people call it. We call back on Star Signal, we used to call it the Misery, but because it's a missile gunboat, it was a little nickname we had for it. But anyway, yeah, that's one they've also started working on. I've just remembered too, and I wouldn't be surprised now you mentioned we don't see something at the Dur. To be honest, man, there's a lot of ships there that I just haven't thought about for a long time.
This category that haven't thought about for a while. What will we see of them? How far along? How far along are they? That's a good question.
They were that schedule report from the end of last year. They were on that. So
there's a lot of ships that was on that schedule report, and they've come around now and said like, we've done tons of work on this. Look at the Banu, for instance. That was on the schedule report.
Yeah.
890 was on the schedule report.
That was actually on the schedule report for December the 12th or December the 11th. I know the Carrack and that were one was December 12th, I think the other was December 19th. So they haven't started work on them. That means they're still on schedule.
It's a bit mix and mash. I mean, there's some things that were on there that didn't get started, and there's some things that weren't on the schedule report that did. I mean, look at the Orion. My God. It's like, that just slipped in there from nowhere.
Yeah. So, it's the nature of game development. Things chop and change, and that's just kind of what's going to happen. There's some things I don't miss about game development at all, just put it that way. The pressure's one thing that really gets to people, and I think in this game, as a developer, having the community kind of on your back all the time would probably be the hardest thing about the good and the hardest thing about the game. They obviously enjoy talking with the community, so it's just
I think that's one of the things Chris has said in the past as well. It takes away that fact that the game, the publisher's saying it's got to be out now, and gives you that engagement with the community. But it's also hard because you do something and the community goes, no, what have you done to my ship? And
well, the community is. I was going to say the community here is a little bit like the publisher in a way. So we're a bit like the community and the publisher in one. Yes. They love us and they hate us.
Yes, give it to us now. Give it to us now. Yes.
Okay, I think we'll take the last question for today. Edison Trent asks, what you guys view on the Phoenix losing its PDS and the better guns while growing in size? Well, we were talking about this earlier in the show, but we haven't even seen the white box. They haven't got the white. They're still in pre-concept and design, figuring out how it's going to be laid out. So the images we were shown of the original white box, which will not be in use. It's sort of just a reference as to how they were trying to take it. So it's missing features, and they have not confirmed they removed the PDS. And I'm sure, I'm pretty sure it's going to be there. It's just it's not ready yet. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
And the only thing we saw in terms of the growth in size was that middle section, and that was grey boxed. It was all grey. Bigger guns, we don't know. extra power plant or bigger power plant, we don't know. BDS, we don't know.
Board Game Simmer says they should consult us before we do silly things like sell land claims or do high tier referral contests. I think the problem is the complete lack of an actual community manager who has his finger on the pulse. And actually, as soon as they see this and go, oh, shitstorm, because frankly, like Disco Lando, for one, has no idea the amount of salts an issue will actually pertain, because he doesn't actually think of what the community is thinking. He only has his view on the things. They need more community managers to be able to run this through, and if not, like Board Gamers say, ask members of the community who are high profile. They can look at a glance and say the referral contest is going to be an absolute shitstorm. Maybe you need to rethink this. Or land claims, maybe this is not such a good idea. Maybe you could do this differently. Like, not make it new money only and allow for old credits to matter, because suddenly that, like, half of the salt there is immediately cut in half, because it's not some exclusive, we only want your new money. You're not, all your previous pledges don't matter.
I did find myself agreeing with Disco Lando, though, for the first time today, when he said Disco does what he wants.
He does do what he wants.
And that can sometimes be a bad thing. But anyway, I totally agree, though. I sometimes I just wonder, like we talked about yesterday, I just don't think they've got their finger on the pulse of the community, and makes me wonder. He's not really a community manager. He's more of a, I think when you said it yesterday, he's more of a PR manager at the moment.
He's a PR, and that's the problem. They have these people doing PR roles, doing PR based videos, but they're not true community managers in the sense.
Yeah. I'd find Admiral, what the hell, he always changes his name, but the two Tylers, I find them way more community-based guys than anyone. And I
think they're underlings to Disco, though. I honestly feel like if they had something to say, no one would be hearing them, because Disco would be, like, tuned out. No, I know everything. I know exactly where this is. It's like, Tyler, that's fine, but, Yeah.
If you ever jump on Spectrum, like I've talked a few times to the newer Tyler, and he's really engaged, man.
Yeah.
He's really genuine, and I really, really enjoy talking to him. I just think
They need to give them some more control and probably gate a lot of this stuff, like this, the sales and the PR through them first, because those two are very tuned in.
You could even start,
and they're both on Spectrum a lot.
Yeah,
I've seen both of them.
Yeah, you can start even a little simpler than that. How about just listen to them? Do take some of their recommendations on board, because I got a feeling like
marketing and PR don't talk to each other. I don't think they do. Yeah. And if they do, they ignore one.
Yeah, I know for a fact Disco reports directly to Sandy, and Sandy is in PR. So I feel that he's kind of moved into PR. He's not in community management anymore. And unfortunately, they don't need to have control, but I just wish they would listen to the community a bit more, because if like Board mentioned and like we mentioned yesterday, if they'd even remotely talked to us, we would have just said this is another shitstorm waiting to happen. Yeah. And all the concerns I raised yesterday with land claims, I don't care how big or how great it is. I've seen it go really bad in other games, and I just that gold rush feel on the first day, it could be utterly insane. Now I know they're saying massive moons and everything and blah blah blah, but the closer you are to a starting planet, it's still going to be more valuable. You could just buy it, sit on it for 12 months and flip it for millions, because within 12 months, half that side of that moon's going to be covered. And if yours is the shortest point to point, you're going to make a fortune.
Yeah, they picked the wrong time to do this. There's so much of a shitstorm going on in the community with regards to microtransactions, pay to win, and sort of unfair advantages and stuff like that. We talked about this. We said it would be a shitstorm if they sold land claims the day before they sold them. I said there's no way that they will actually sell land claims, because there's so much of a shitstorm, and then I can't believe that they'd be so out of tune that they go ahead with it. And then you were right, of course. He's like, oh no, they're going to sell land claims. I'm like, I just can't believe they can be that dense. And then the next day, the worst fears came true. It was like,
there's two really good points that have been made in chat that I kind of agree with. First one is, so basically we need more Brian Chambers. 100% agree. His heart is in the right place. He's one of my favorite developers. And then Ben Lesnick is really sincere. It's just a shame he's very busy.
So busy.
He's also had some health issues as well. So no matter what you say about Ben's got a really big heart. You can tell, even if you've never talked to him. He's a really great guy.
He sees himself as one of the community. He's very in tune with all the community.
He came from the community.
That's right. He, if anything, he's got this finger on the pulse more than most CIG developers and community managers. Yeah. But as you said, he's so busy, he doesn't have time for community management anymore.
Yep.
Bennett, we don't hate you for buying land claims, man. We just hate them from selling it, period. There's nothing...
It's the whole optics and the way they did it. If they had done this in an alternative way, they could have cut off all the salt, at the source before it ever eventuated into a huge mountain.
It would have been better as something like, how you get your you can buy your hangar upgrades.
Yep.
That's how I would have done it. I would have done it as an add-on. I would have done it as not this separate thing, and the cost of it. Yeah, I just. Like the thing that really got to me is they cost this much, which is kind of expensive. Oh, and then by the way, if everyone brought one on just one planet, it only covers half the planet. As if they could say, "Hey, we've got a license to print money." That was
on top of War Bond only, because at the end of the day, that shows that it's a money grab, and it may not be a money grab. But the optics clearly...
It came across as a
comes across in that way, exactly. If they had allowed it to buy with credits, this would have blunted the entire opposition and the community opposition to it, It would have made a huge difference.
I'm pretty sure wasn't mentioned, but I will go back and check the video, so just take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, but I think they're going to be available permanently. I didn't hear anything about on that sale that they'll only be available a certain amount of time, but I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, please someone tell me. But I think they're going to be one of those things that are available all the time.
And the other big thing with them is there's still too many questions about it. Like, okay, you go in, you put your pin down, the chip gets used. Does that mean I've got to go buy a new beacon? Do I get a new beacon first? My chip, someone beat me to the land claim office. There's just too many questions.
Board said in the chat there, he said, they aren't greedy. It all goes in the game. It just feels greedy. Now, it does feel greedy, but it's beyond greed. It's like they haven't thought of the design ramifications, Board, in my opinion. They haven't really gone... they haven't thought of the gold rush type of thing, and that's what concerns me. And they've stated, if you've got enough money in game, you can buy one. But if you buy a land claim before the game, it means you can claim one on the first day. I don't think we can think of many people, especially soloists. I can think of some orgs, but that are going to be able to have enough credits on the first day to go out and buy a land claim. So there is a huge benefit, massive benefit to buying them up front. And they've just gone, that's not a big thing. No. And
they've also suggested the idea that these land claims, the idea of having that kind of land rush idea taken from the Californian land rush, when they did it in the 1800s. So they are going on that gold rush idea. Mm-hmm. But, yeah.
Herr Stein says, guys, every single ship is a money grab. They want money. They need money to make the game. I think people simply uninterested in how big the universe is. The impact's going to be that big. There's the other side of the coin to that, man, is if you were to be like a black market privateer guy and see buying ships in Star Citizen as an investment, you could literally flip them when the game comes out for real cash and you would make a shit ton of money. Don't see you being able to do that with a land grab unless you sit on it after the game comes out.
I don't think you're going to be able to flip ships for money either on the grey or black markets or within the game. There's easy ways to avoid that. If you sell a ship, make it 40% of what it's actually worth to buy new, and then people will be less likely to flip a ship when they're losing more than half the in-game value. And at the same time, unlike other MMOs, when they do black market transactions, whether it's gold sellers or selling equipment for large amounts of US cash, they normally crack down on those and ban all the accounts associated with it.
They have said though that you're going to be able to sell ships in game. They said it way back.
On the player market, not
Yeah.
the black or grey market.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And so, like, if they'd be stupid not to, because if they want to undercut the gold sellers, one, they got to provide a service to give a limited amount of UEC, like once a month or once a week, as a casual sort of grinder. But the same thing is they need to then nip it in the bud to prove that if you want to go into the black market to buy UEC or get some illegal ship, there's a huge risk involved to make sure that they give one, they keep people away because they say, look, there's a risk here and you'll get banned because we promise you. And the other thing is we offer an alternative, which is, much more scaled down. And so I do not see people being able to flip ships for money in real life or flip ships for UEC in game without a huge, loss.
Well, certainly even at the moment, going on the black market, which is, needing to sell the account, is actually against the terms of service. So you can, if you do that, you do receive the possibility of having that account banned.
I'm just saying it hasn't stopped people in the past.
No,
but I think they'll choose to enforce it once it goes live.
I definitely hope so. They've sometimes, like I've said a few times, anyone that could kill the grey market or black market tomorrow would be CIG, and there's many YouTubers and other people other than myself that have mentioned this as well. But if they just made a few small changes, I just don't like how constricted it is. We're giving them money. Why wouldn't they want us to be able to give them more money more often? Yeah. And I don't. And also, they get what they want. We want, and everyone's happy. It just seems
they are getting record sales. Like every year, they earn more than they did in the previous.
Yeah, but that's because there's more and more people coming into the game. You got to look at it.
They have more costs. I got to admit, more employees. They have more mouths to feed, and to pay. Yep. So that makes sense, and I understand that. It's not like that. Even if they stopped funding today, they wouldn't, at least finish Squadron 42 and get out to PU, because the amount of money they've earned, they definitely have financial loans, because taking out loans is definitely to their advantage. We don't have the full financial picture, but it's a lot better than just saying they've earned 160 million.
Yeah,
there's going to be more to it than that.
I did the math about 12 months ago based on how many employees they had, and if they'd still had those employees for the entire 5 years, and it only reached 75 million. So, even worst case scenario, which is not true, that they'd only be halfway through their funds. So I still think they've got a lot of cash up their sleeve, personally. There's another question there. I know we said that was going to be the last one, but do you think there will see space claims for buildings and space stations? If they make space stations with a ship that you can build, then absolutely.
Yeah.
Unless you can just plop it wherever you want, but that could be really strange coming out of a quantum or jump point, and there's just a space station directly on the other side with PDSs spacing it.
A segment of asteroid field with very high deposits, then why not? Take a claim for that area or a particular asteroid, and then you do your mining there. That makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing I find a bit weird about the land claims, and I guess it would work for space claims too, is how permanent they are. Like, if you've only got to pay that one-off payment and you own it forever, it's just like, I don't know.
Well, we know that any buildings you put on it are going to have upkeep. So the buildings will wear out.
I suppose if it has resources, they might be finite, so you could actually excavate all of the resources worth anything, and then to a point it might be worth leaving and finding a new claim.
They said that the resources on them are persistent, so once they're gone, they're gone.
Mm. So, they have said they will regenerate, though. Whether they regenerate in the same spot as a different kettle of fish, though, they might randomly, sporadically appear. That would be a really interesting way of balancing it, actually. So on the first day, if you go into this place and it's got a huge amount of resources and you mine the shit out of it and it's gone, doesn't necessarily mean a big one's going to come back, and then therefore you might actually have to want to move on to another land claim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have also said, you can go into someone's land claim and mine the resources.
Yeah.
Buying that land claim doesn't stop Joe Bloggs, who's your neighbour, leaking across the land claim border.
Turrets will,
mining
though.
His.
And a PMC that you've paid to continue to patrol.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I think that's all the questions for today. So I'll hand it over to Hayes because he knows the usual spiel. I haven't learnt this yet. So Hayes, take it away.
Okay. we just put up a Discord, so if you want to ask questions about CCUs on a 1.1, the Discord is the place to be. Or Discord will be on the YouTube channel if you want to check there. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We have any particular questions about Star Citizen? That's the place to go. We respond to all our questions. We like to read them. And as always, we'll catch you around. This is where you two say goodbye.
I just accidentally changed channel, but Hayes, here's the link to the Discord, buddy. Chuck that up.
There you go.
If anyone wants to jump in.
Yeah, we'll put that in.
We'll be on there after this. Those people that just ask questions, if you want to get your questions answered, just jump in, and Hayes and I and Albert will be there for a little bit, and you can come talk to us. All right. Thanks for coming. Been a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow for the Misc sale.
Yes.
My favorite. I'm Execute.
This is Hayes.
And Algarad.
And we'll catch you around.
There you go.